was like so unique the way we ended up didn't win that game, and they did a great job down the stretch. But we've had really good games there, great crowds. I expect this to be as good as any of them. Usually we have had a good number of Michigan fans there to this game. I doubt if there's those type of tickets available with how good Northwestern's been this year. And it's going to be a great college atmosphere. You get two great storylines going on. Both teams, solidly working like crazy on the bubble, trying to build a resume. So I'm sure it's going to be an exciting game, and I hope we end up with a win, although it's going to be a really difficult thing to do. So we had a good practice. We had the first day off in a long time Sunday, and we're on spring break right now, so we use a little extra time right now our young kids are out there working out right now, just trying to develop their game, and a nice practice today. They can be involved getting ready for this game, and go there tonight and try and win tomorrow.
Coach, is there any challenge in maybe not knowing what you're going to see out of Northwestern, given they lost 5-7? They also have so many good wins this year.
No, I think I know what we're going to see. We're going to see a really good team. Like I said, the difference between winning and losing at this time of the year is so small that it could be the bounce of the ball or officials. It's not like all of a sudden they've changed who they are. They're going to be the same team, and they're good. And we got to make sure that we don't give them great opportunities to score. But their defense now has turned into one of the elite defenses in the league. And I think their defensive efficiency is like number 1 or number 2 in the league. So it's going to be hard. We're going to have to score points. We all know how hard it is to win on the road. It's going to be a difficult game.
Entering this final week of the season, how much can you draw on from last season where you're kind of in a similar situation with kind of nothing was guaranteed?
Yeah, but I'm not going to refer much to that other than, our kids know this. We talk about it all the time, and they read the paper and they listen to you guys. They know we're in a situation right now that we got to play. We've been playing our best when we know our back's to the wall, and our back is still solidly to the wall.
What does that do for your team cycle, knowing that you kind of been there, done that last season?
I don't know. We did that, but we did that in the Big Ten tournament on neutral court. Now you got to go do it at their place, in front of what, like I said, will be a very hostile atmosphere. So, but I think our guys are, they understand this, and they got to just go out and do their best and take each game as it is and do your best. And if you win, well, that's absolutely terrific. If you lose, all right, let's move on to the next one.
Where have you seen the greatest gains in Xavier Simpson? What is it that he's done to learn more about what he's doing on offense, especially?
Yeah, I think that right now defensively is where he's really helped us a great deal. As you remember, when he first came in, he was a foul waiting to happen. He was going to get 2 fouls immediately and put them in a 1-and-1 or get himself out of position. So I think that's been the biggest thing. And then his footwork really coming in. As far as playing in the ball screen, things like that. There's a lot to it. It's a lot like a quarterback when you're in the ball screen. There's some footwork that can take you out of passing angles, and those type of things he's really picked up on well. Long way to go in it. Long way to go in it, especially when the size of the players that you play in high school are now completely different. And so footwork is really important so that you can get leveraged for passing lanes, things like that.
Following up on that, is mid-range game kind of the next step in his progression offensively?
Yeah, there's so few people with mid-range games. All I know is he works his tail off, but it may be more in the floater category. That may be it. The runners getting the ball to the rim and jumping over people probably is going to be difficult to have to go under them. But I think the mid-range, the floaters, and the little the Sherman Douglas. I still remember how he was throwing those at Derek Coleman and Ronnie Cycli, and or just throwing it up to people. I think he's got to recognize that part of his game is the next step, and just walk by him, and he was practicing that right now.
And then I think Northwestern played you guys pretty well defensively here last
year. They last year every time they're good.
Yep. Talk about how you counter that and what they do that's so good defensively.
They're just solid. They're solid, and I think one of the things that they have good individual defenders. And when you have good individual defenders, the schemes they're important, but when you just don't have to give help very often. So I think they got good length. Lumpkin is way underrated as a defender. And now their big kid Pardon is really become a good player. He blocks shots. He protects the rim a little bit more. And their guards now, Law was not here last year. Lindsay, I don't think was here the year before. I mean, this is an experienced team. One or two freshmen will get on the court, but this team has been around the block. They won a lot of games last year. And, both times that we played them, they went down to the buzzer.
How do you view Scotty Lindsay right now? He's obviously a little bit slow coming back from the mono, but they got to play him because they have to play him.
Yeah.
Is that something you can go after, or do you have to kind of see where he is?
Yeah, watching him, I forget what game it was earlier that he just went off in a game, and he just was absolutely terrific. So you're just waiting for a guy that goes through something like that. You don't want to be the breakout game where they really get back, but it could happen because he's so talented. He's shooting the ball, driving the ball, in between game, everything. Very talented. Law, very similar. That they're all sort of into it. But once you get into this Big Ten season, and sustaining that during the year when teams are like really focused on you, it hits you sometimes, and they just press through it. And both of those guys, I have no question, they're gonna have great Big Ten careers, and I hope they just don't get it going even better against us.
John, we've all kind of, mentioned, there's players who are rising to the occasion, so to speak, and Derrick seems to be at the forefront of it. I mean, whether it's Xavier or Muhammad Ali, Mo Wagner, how much of it is Derrick's leadership? Is it just following, or how much of it is actually like he's, transferring a kind of an exchange?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think that you see him. I've never seen him do this before. When the team's coming down on defense and he's clapping his hands, ready to guard his guy, I think that he's really setting a great example. But the way he practices in practice is incredible, how hard he practices. Yesterday, like we do these shooting drills where the other player rebounds. So yesterday I had the manager rebound for him. I just don't want him out there rebounding hard for a minute because I want him to get his rest in there. So he's really set it by example, but he's more vocal than he's ever been right now.
Coach, I know it's a fine line between, killing the clock and still getting a good shot and all that. And I guess how do you think you guys did when Purdue brought some pressure as far as when to attack? Well,
in the full court, when the guys were the full court, all of a sudden we did some unique things where DJ now became the point guard and wanted the ball out of bounds. That was the only turnover we had there. But I think when you go, that's a tough time to be in there. It's just like football. You have, all right, are you going to run it 3 times and go 3 and out in 2 minutes? Or are you going to pass it, keep it going? You might go 3 and out in 30 seconds. So you're in between there, and we were very fortunate that Derrick made that one because that was going the other way quickly. But when you're in that situation, up 15, up 18, whatever, I think you're crazy to keep on jacking it quick, right? Because that game could, as you saw, it turned with the 2 3-pointers from distance. I mean, those were like heck of a shots, and the old-fashioned 3-pointers, 12 points like that, and all of a sudden we're in a 6-point game. So I would second-guess myself. I've second-guessed myself either way, but you were trying to keep it simple and try to run some clock and play against the clock. Most of the time it's going to work, so that time it almost didn't.
And then Abdur Rahman, I mean, you had said, I think a few weeks ago that he started practicing a little bit harder. Mm-hmm. Is that all it is? It's been,
and there's some confidence. I think the game slowed down, that he's been able to make some plays off the pick and roll. He's been able to make some plays in transition. I remember the play Duncan Mo had 2 or 3 games ago on a transition. It was a huge play to put us out in front, and I forget who it was. But the ball never hit the floor. Derrick took one dribble, went up, and he hit it. He never would have made that play before. He never would have seen that guy come. He's basically been a guy that sees the rim, and he's seeing his assists, are up. So that's what's really been important with him. And as he continues to grow, we're trying to use him more. But I think it's really important next year that we can play through him even more as he's grown over these 4 years.
More on Muhammad. Is that the kind of thing, you talked about him as a defensive stopper earlier, and it seemed like some of that was because he wasn't producing on offense. Mm-hmm. We talked about this with Zach. Is there a balance, like trying to see if he can handle, being shut down and still contribute on offense there?
Yeah, it is hard to do both. But, and there's sometimes we do ask him to just take Blackman and go with him to the locker room. You watch him all the time. But that hasn't been as often. But I just like his effort level has increased. And like I said, nobody would ever consider him being lazy. It's just most young men do not know they got another level. And when he shows that, It's good for him, but it's good for our team. So that's the encouragement we're giving them, whether it's on offense or defense. Go downhill harder, take the ball to the basket. But defensively, just don't be an average defender, be a great defender.
We also talked, I think it was last night on the radio show, about on the road you need someone who can get their own shot, be aggressive. Is some of that, you seeing the way they're calling fouls against you guys on the road?
I think I've seen it with the 30-second shot clock. That the crowd is going crazy. I mean, this 5-second difference is huge. That we used to be able to run an action, which came to another action, which came to another action, and if you didn't get something by that, 3 or 4 actions, you could still run one more. Now 2 of those are being set up, are taken away from you, believe it or not. And I know it's only 5 seconds, but it's huge. And so as a result, and then the switching of ball screens is becoming huge. So if you don't have a guy with a little wiggle, or you don't have a post game that you just throw it into and say, go to work, big fella. I just think that the shot clock, the switching of ball screens, the high level of synergy right now where people, it's tough to out-trick people. Then you need a guy that just say, hey, just go get us a basket. And I think we got to develop that more in the future. We got to recruit to it more in the future so that we can, evolve how the game's evolve.
Does this team have any of those guys?
We don't have a lot of wiggle, no. We got to keep working on it. We're working on it every day, one-on-one, different ways to score on people. I don't think any coach would tell you they have enough wiggle right now. Enough guy that can get his own shot. I remember games. Illinois. I think it was a year we went to the championship game. That we had Illinois late. We got this playbook that's unbelievable, and I just said, Trey, stay at the top, Mitch, stay underneath, and that's all we're doing the last 10 minutes. Right? And because they were switching screens. Trey, you get your own, Mitch get the rebound, and that's the way it worked. So you try to do that, but Trey could do that. So getting that Derrick has a lot of that, a little bit of that. Muhammad's got some of that, Zach's got some of that, but it's never enough, and we're working on it. But I think in the future we got to realize that one-on-one basketball is so much more important than it used to be. I talked with a coach the other day. That used to play at Princeton with Pete Carril, and before the shot clock. I just can't even imagine guarding Princeton before the shot clock. I just can't imagine guarding 3 or 4 minutes and saying, all right, yeah, we're not going to give up a layup in these next 3 or 4 minutes. But the game's evolved in a positive way, but that's the way it's got to go.
At the same time, to follow up, I think you guys are points per possession wise ahead of the rate now that you were when you went to the championship game.
I didn't know that. Thank you. That's good news. That's really good
I read
news.
that anyway.
How about our defense? Probably not there.
Probably not. But so obviously you've adjusted. You've made a pretty big.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you attribute to that lead then? Just getting more accustomed to the 30
I got a good staff. We keep looking at things, and if you have shooters at every position like we have right now, that changes a lot of things. And so now what we got to prepare for is what people do when you have shooters, like Purdue changed the matchup and then switched everything. So now that's going to be a point of emphasis. Dang it, Mo, you made 4 threes. Now we got to change everything, right? But it's the way you have to evolve as you go forward. People are going to continue to counter, and every 3 days you get to play again, and you got to do it quickly. And we don't have the week like football would be to let's dissect all this, let's do it. We got to do it quickly, and you got to have smart kids that can do it. So maybe that's part of our involvement, but then we can't stop.
And then you watched Brian McIntosh, I think, in the AAU circuit
Yes.
a little bit. Talk about how he's evolved since then and how he's really reached a higher level. I think a lot.
Yeah, he is really a great story there because and I don't know how much. I don't know what our situation was at that time. I think Derrick, he's a year older than Derrick. He's a year younger than Derrick. No, he's a year younger than Derrick. So we had Derrick in the fall. We had Spike. We had Trey was maybe still here when he was playing as a junior, maybe. So we were probably looking at that situation with point guard may not be the need right now, but he's really had a great career. So really had been a big part of what Chris has been able to do there. And as well as all, he's really done a great job with recruiting. I mean, these are really good players that they have there. And Billy Carmi had good players too. They were very close every year. And Chris knows what to do as well. So it's a great story what Northwestern's been able to do. And I don't know how it'll all come down. I can't predict for myself let alone them, but they've really worked hard to be in a great position right now.
You gave a little update on Austin Davis a few weeks back.
Yeah.
Is he continuing to progress?
Yeah,
Or how's he?
yeah. I mean, he's really good. That's all I'm gonna tell you. I'm just gonna tell you. So like I said, I wish I knew what I knew now, but you don't, in January, in the middle of January, end of January, it all started slowing down. So it's really, guys just throw him the ball. We just throw him the ball and he just puts it in. There's no drama. There's no Kardashians. The ball's in. The ball is in. And so it's really been good for him to just throw it to him. Now, when the lights come on, we'll see. But he will be a major player for us next year.
Coach, teams might have more athletic bigs that can say take away that pick and pop or whatever. I'm wondering what parts of the game do you think are matchup independent? It doesn't matter who you're playing, these things can help you win.
I think if you have a guy who just has the ability to get 2 feet in the paint, and I think if you have a big man who can play on and off the block and see the double team, so we're expecting double teams for Mo coming up pretty soon when we do throw him the ball on the block, right? And so I think the big man who can both score and pass and shoot, right? So you put Happen, let's make him a shooter now. What are you going to do with that? Because he can pass and he can do it. So all these things are really hard to stop, but also a guy that you can just spread the floor and get 2 feet in the paint, which brings us to our guy, Charles Matthews, who can do a lot of those things. So I hate practice someday. I hate it when Austin and Charles are getting baskets on us or defending us really well. But I love it when I just think about the future with those two guys. That's really going to be helpful.
About a month ago, when things kind of weren't where they are right now, it seemed like the team wasn't really feeling that great about itself, and you were kind of challenging certain aspects of who they were. Now it seems like they're really feeling very good about themselves. I wonder what your response is to that.
Well, we're only talking about this much. They just had to do a little bit more. It was around the Super Bowl, I think. They think they're there. They just think they're there and they're not there. And we just had to keep pounding it into them and rely on their smart kids. They'll get it. They will get it. They're good kids. They don't point fingers at others. They don't blame people. They're going to get it. And we just got to continue to pound it in. And whether it was the Ohio State game, whether it was the loss of Wisconsin, whether it was some of those losses that we had, I think maybe it all sort of clicked. They needed to be put in that position to say, okay, we all do have another level. And it's individual too. There wasn't any team meeting or anything like that. I think they just dig down against themselves. At the same time, the shots have fallen for us, right? And it's just a matter sometimes of the shot falling or, what happens if we make foul shots at Minnesota? There's just a lot of things that are not mental. It's just stuff happens. And stuff has happened in the right way for us.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, thank you.